Hello, my name is Robbie. On here, I am Templar Knight. Every person who believes in God and does not attend church has a story why. But it's said that whenever two or more gather in God's name, that He is there. So this is church. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Tonight, I wanted to talk about something that I touched on the other night, and I was really moved to expand on, but I didn't have the time, and it wasn't the right topic. So tonight, we are going to talk about discipleship. Now, that's a big church word, and normally I try and stay away from those, so we're going to break it down first. When I say a disciple, what that means by the dictionary is a follower or student of a teacher, a leader, or a philosopher. So, yeah, that's a disciple, someone who is studying underneath someone, kind of like an apprentice. Nowadays we've also got terms like a role model, a mentor, or in this day and age we have influencers. They're all kind of the same, but kind of different. Because, like, a role model is someone that you look up to who you never, oftentimes don't even have interaction with. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But they are a person that you are using as a mold to try and grow your development. A mentor is someone who, on a much more personal level, is interacting with your life, helping guide you, helping develop you to be the person you want to be in your life. A disciple, even more so than a mentor. Discipleship isn't something we hear of too much anymore, but, if I were to be in a discipleship role, let's say my job hires someone. It is my job to train them. They're going to follow me around. They're going to spend every working hour with me. And it is my position to teach them how to do what I do. Not only so that they can be as good as me, but hopefully that they will one day be better than me. You know what I mean? That's a disciple. An influencer is... They are someone, according to the dictionary, someone who has established credibility in a specific industry, has access to a huge audience, and can persuade others to act based on their recommendation. So that would be like Kevin Foose trying to sell me a car. That would be an influencer. God, is his first name Kevin? I don't know. Maybe it was Jim. The guy who does cool stuff with cars. It would be Elon Musk telling me how to run a business. That would be someone huge and important that everyone knows who is clearly good at something. It would be Tyler One telling me how to play League of Legends if I ever decided I wanted to hate life again and play that game. He would be he is a huge influencer in that industry. And nowadays we have this TikTok and Facebook and all these little places we can go to follow our influencers. To have these people say how they feel and believe about things. And their goal is to impact us, to guide us into who they think we should be. Now I feel that the influencer thing it has its pros, but it definitely has its cons. Because a lot of people who are influencers, they don't deserve their position. And some of the stuff they are trying to get people to do can be just downright dangerous. I mean, for those of you who remember the Tide Pod challenge a while back, where they convinced a bunch of people to eat laundry detergent. What? Why? Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. But when I think about who my influencers are, my mentors, my role models, If I were to be talking about here on Twitch, I've made it abundantly clear. Mr. Crazy Mike is a huge mentor. He gave a lesson about streaming that made some major choices for me. I'm not sure if they're still here, but Blind and the Blonde Bomber, they have a huge impact on me too. There are a lot of people on Twitch who are teaching me how to be better at this, because I can accept that I'm not really great at the whole streamer thing. You know, you put me on behind a mic, you give me a lesson to preach, and I will share God's word with the best of them. But when it comes to this whole digital presentation, I've got more to learn, and I'm willing to grow. When it comes to work, I know who the people are that made me the HVAC technician that I am. Because I'm good. I'm real good. No brags, just facts. I am really good at my job. And I know the men who made me that way. Kind of a bummer now, because when I think about it, I don't have mentors to look up to at work anymore. Now I'm the mentor. I'm the old guy who has to teach these young kids how to be the best at their job. When I think about life and the video games I play, I'm pretty good at a lot of the games I play. This new game I've been playing, the zombie survival game, 7 Days to Die, I really like it. I'm good at it. I'm more than willing to teach people how to play. But even I've got people who I know are better than me, and I'll go and watch their YouTube videos so that I can learn how to be better. Because just like in streaming, work, video games, in life, you need to be constantly growing. You need to constantly have goals. Say, where am I going? This is where I was. This is where I am. This is where I want to be. Who do you have in your life that is helping you make those decisions? Who are you turning to? Who are your mentors, your influencers, your role models, your disciples? I was really big on that when I first found my faith. It was important to me in my first ministries when I was 18, 19, 20 years old that I had strong, faith-driven men who were helping me make my decisions in life, that I could go to and say, hey, what about this? And they could give me good answers. But at the same time, I also had to have a group of young men, at the time middle school or high schoolers, that I was discipling too. Because I learned quickly I needed both ends of the spectrum. I needed to be the middleman. I needed to have someone to look up to, and I needed to have someone who was looking up to me. Because that's a level of accountability right there. There's a story about someone who very well could be here right now. He was the first serious impact I had from a kid in my youth program. He and I, we used to hang out all the time. He lived in my neighborhood, and we were very close friends. Still to this day, he's one of my best friends. And when I was his youth leader, we were driving around, hanging out, listening to music, and he was flipping through my CD collection. Now, if you guys remember anything about my CD collection when I was younger, I liked some really good stuff, and I liked some really bad stuff. I enjoyed my secular hip-hop. The worse it was, the more emotion it inspired, the more I liked it. And I never realized how bad it was for me until someone pointed out, hey, that music makes you different. You shouldn't listen to that. And I will not forget it because I had a truck with a very loud sound system in it. It was that was where my heart was. That's where my passion was. So that's where my money was. My truck was stupid loud, and we were driving around, and he was flipping through the CD book because back in the day you had to have a CD with books. And anyway, he was flipping through the CD book, and he finds all this stuff, and he's like, "What are you doing listening to this?" Now, mind you, this is a kid from my church program. And he got to see that side, because obviously you don't talk about stuff like that in youth group. But he got to see that side of the music I was listening to, and he told me, he's like, "You shouldn't be listening to this. This is bad for you." And I looked at him and says, "You know what? You are 100% right." And we took a detour, and we went to this store downtown that would buy used CDs. And right then and there, I sold probably 75 to 100 CDs for $40. And then we went to a place called the Bible and Bookstore, and we put that $40 into buying 2-3 more Christian hip-hop albums. I lost a lot of money that day, but I made a great decision in my life. And it was one of the people whom I was supposed to be mentoring that called me out, who explained to me that I was not being the role model I was supposed to be at that time. So I made a decision and I acted. And I'm so proud of what I did that day. I missed the music, but I had to make an immediate response because I was his mentor, and he needed to see that decision be made. Not to mention, he needed to know that that was his doing. I was so proud of him for calling me out like that, because I screwed up. And to let him know that he's allowed to point that out to me, let's just say if there's a reason he and I are still friends. A lot of the people I have mentored with, I'm still very close to. A lot of the people whom I've seen as a mentor, I'm still very close to. Because the greatest thing about that, no one is perfect. Everyone will fail. And I think it's important for people to see that side too. If I wanted to, I could explain through discipleship, talking about, obviously there were the 12 disciples in the Bible. Those were the 12 men that Jesus took under his wing to say, "I'm going to be your role model. I'm going to be your mentor. I'm going to be your influencer. I want to teach you how to be the best you that you can be. I'm going to guide you how to succeed in life." And that's exactly what he did. He took these men and showed them something that no one has ever seen, no one ever will see again. How amazing it would have been to see Jesus walk this earth as a man. The stuff he accomplished. Sorry, that is a theme that will always get to me when I think about what that man did. What that man did for me. But even Jesus was the middleman. There was still someone that he went to. Any guesses? Was his dad. Fathers, in most cases, are a great mentor. even for Jesus. I'm going to go back to my notes real quick because I actually took a note. One of the most powerful moments for me in the life of Jesus was when he talked to his dad. This happened shortly before Good Friday. I'm going to read this word for word out the Bible because this matters. This is Mark chapter 14, verse 36. It's when Jesus went to the garden in Gethsemane to pray right before he was betrayed. And he says, "Abba, Father," he said, "everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me, yet not what I will, but what you will." Now, there are 4 different versions of this because if you were ever curious, some of the best books in the Bible to read, it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. All 4 different people telling pretty much the same story from their account. Now, the reason I took the one from Mark, it's not the easiest to understand, but there was one word in there that I loved. Not tonight. And it was the way he started it. He used the word Abba, which translated, it would mean father. But in the translation, he said Abba, Father. Why would they say it twice? And the reason they do that is because Abba is what an obedient kid, an obedient son would say to their dad. This was a moment when Jesus cried out because he knew what was going to happen. He knew what Good Friday was going to be, and he was scared. So he went to this garden to pray to his dad. And he doesn't just say, "My Father." He says, "Abba." He cried out, "Daddy, help. I'm scared." He wasn't just calling to his father. He was calling for his daddy. Because he was so afraid. He knew what he had to do. But he was still scared. He wanted a way out. But he was obedient. And he did what he had to do. But even he had someone to go to. Failed that challenge. I'm sorry, just taking a second to reflect on that. He went to his mentor, to his daddy, and cried out for help because he was scared and he needed him. God told him what he had to do, and he did it. Because that's what mentors are for. That's what role models are for. That's what discipleship is about. Having someone that you can go to with the hard decisions. Having someone you know will lead you the right way. Not give you the answer you want, give you the answer you need to hear. That's what discipleship is. Jesus told his disciples to go forth, spread my love to everyone. That was his final command that he gave them, to make disciples of all nations, to help them find their way to me so that they can one day know heaven. Pretty clear cut. I know discipleship is a kind of a weird church word, but think of it as a mentor who cares about your soul, who cares about your faith, who cares about your life. Make sure you have that mentor. Honestly, for a lot of you, you're probably looking at him right now. And I will be that person for you. If you've got no one else, I'll be that person. And also, try and be that person for someone else. Have someone who you care about, who you want to guide, who you want to teach them to be the best they can be. Because it's hard being on top of the pyramid, it's hard being in the bottom. Be somewhere in the middle. Have people who look up to you. And make sure you've got people you look up to that are leading you in the right direction. I've got this weird situation in my life where there's a handful of people where we take turns. We trade and we switch roles. A group of guys who I look up to and they look up to me, and we can go to each other. I've got people in my life who care about how my decisions turn out, and how I care, people who I care about how their decisions turn out. Let's be the next generation of influencers. Let's let God's love flow through us, and let's change the world around us. Let's impact people in such a way one of my favorite lessons that you will probably get to hear someday soon. Let's live lives that people will see us and say, hey, I want what they've got.